Hey everybody, and welcome to Badge Banter, where we share some awesome stories from some of our partners and friends in the security industry, about the industry in general, and of course the importance of the ID badge. I'm Lindsay Martin-Nez from Badge Pass, and today I'm super excited to introduce you to our guest, Hilary Gallagher from the Access Control Collective. Thanks for being here, Hilary.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
I'm super excited. I know you said that this isn't normally your thing, but I'm glad that you're branching out and doing it with us. I've always had a lot of respect for you and what you're doing in the space, and I'm just excited to have you on and talk a little bit more with you today.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, this is typically something Lee does, not me. So you should be proud that you got me on because it's not easy.
Well, I'm excited to have you, and I'll make it as low key as possible. So before we kind of dive into questions that I have for you specifically, for some of our listeners who maybe don't know and aren't familiar with the Access Control Collective, can you tell us a little bit about it and what it is that you guys are doing over there?
Yeah, so the Access Control Collective is really based around community. Like that's at the heart of everything we do. It's a collection of companies, so we do everything from thought leadership, content, that's everything that you see on LinkedIn. We have our own events. We're hired to activate at different events like ISC West and Intersec, and then we are hired to help with brand strategy as well. So a bunch of different things, but it really all culminates in this building of the community.
I love that, and I think the community really speaks to what y'all have built there. I found Access Control Collective obviously through Access Control Executive Brief, which was kind of how it started, if I'm not wrong. And I'm a subscriber as well as some of my team members are as well, and I've learned a lot of great stuff from that. What is something about the Access Control Executive Brief that people might not realize just from reading it?
I think it's that it isn't just the brief. I think there is some misconceptions, probably to our fault because we don't do a good enough job talking about the other benefits of being a member, but it's everything from, of course, that community aspect. So having access to our Slack channel or in-person events, but also just you get one-on-one time with us. We can help with strategy, all these things that when you become a member, it's not just getting the brief in your inbox every couple of weeks. There's actually a whole host of things, and we're at a point now, which is super exciting, that it's even at our ACS events, we'll only be offering speaking opportunities to those who are members. So things like that are coming from it too. And I think just the community aspect, there is actually a community there now, which is super cool. And I don't know that people know that just by, hearing about the brief. They don't know that there's all these other things that come along with it.
I think you're probably right, and I'm not a super good Slack user. I literally use it for the Access Control Executive Brief.
Yeah.
But I have a team member who is a subscriber as well, and he's like, I need to get in the Slack channel. And I was like, yeah, you do, because I think that there's sometimes even more value in that than just like the brief itself.
100%, because there's a large group of people in there, some of whom are running companies like you, some of them are more on the marketing side like me, and so there's subgroups of people. And I think the coolest part is some are competitors, and it doesn't really matter. It's still, we're just people that work in the industry together trying to learn and collaborate together, and it's a unique environment that isn't offered many other places, I think.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I don't think that there's a lot of places that you see that, so it's fun to be a part of. All right, what is your favorite part of your job?
I would say two things. So one is, this sounds cheesy, but just the fact that I actually like what I do and like who I do it with. Lee and I have, obviously we've been working together for over 12 years at this point, or almost 12 years at this point. And so clearly something's working. There's not that longevity unless something is working. And so I think actually enjoying what I do is definitely a blessing. I know, having worked many other places, that is not always the case. And so I'm very, very thankful for that. And then I also, having two young kids, the travel is very difficult, but I actually consider that one of my favorite parts of the job, because it allows me to get out of my house and experience different cultures and different places, and it adds excitement to everything. So toss up between the two, like actual favorite, but the two combined make it really great.
All right, I'm going to segue a little bit because we're going to talk about some stuff about like being a working mom and everything, and we're going to come back to the security industry, but you teed that up well. I also travel a lot, maybe not as much as you, because it feels like y'all are all over the place, but I travel a good amount and have young children, and people ask me all the time, like, how do you juggle that and balance travel? And so now I will ask you, and you can tell us, like, you
Yeah.
love to travel. I like it too, and it excites me to like be in new places and meet new people, and I think that like energizes me. But it's also, I mean, it's hard when you travel
Yeah.
and you have kids. So tell me, like, what's your strategy and methodology around A, like choosing when to travel, and then B, like managing that in your home life?
Yeah, I think for us, my husband travels for work too, and so it's a matter of like who gets it first on the calendar.
Oh
It's
my
like
God!
we,
I was gonna say the same. Like we're the same way. And then if you don't,
yeah,
you're responsible for figuring out what the plan is.
yep. It's basically like we both know that we have stuff going on, so I immediately add it to our shared Google Calendar. Even sometimes, hopefully he doesn't watch this. Even sometimes if it's not even 100%. I'm like, I'm at least gonna grab that so that he can't claim it later. So that, but then it's also we moved back to the Midwest when I was pregnant with my first, and that was for a reason. It's because we have family around here and they're able to help. I can truly say I don't know how people do it without, and I know people do every day, but I don't know how people do that without having folks who can help nearby. So I'm about to leave for a trip today to go check out venues for RIMP, our marketing event, and my parents will be here, and then my husband's parents will be here. And it's just a matter of making sure that you have coverage. Obviously, having a partner and all of that helps too, someone that can kind of balance it all. And then it's also like I don't really believe in balance when you're a working parent with two kids. Like it doesn't exist, at least in my home, it doesn't exist. And so it's just finding a way to work together, tap into your like internal community and figure out the best way to do it. And I think it's an important thing for our kids to see. Like watching us do all of that and seeing that it's possible, I think is, especially as women, is it's important for me. So it's a number of things, but I think it's doable if you have the right kind of ecosystem around you.
I say all the time, like childcare is the thing that like keeps the ball moving, and when that breaks, like your whole world is upended,
Yeah,
and it's really difficult to navigate that. We went through a time where, and we're fortunate, like we have a nanny that helps with the kids during the day. Because my husband's parents live close, like an hour away, but my family's out of state. And so we leverage like that support system as much as possible. But when like something happens with like the nanny, it's like our whole world shuts down because your kids
yeah,
are, I mean, your huge priority, but then you got this business to run too, and
of
it's
course.
brutal.
It
Um,
is. And imagine if you didn't have that. Like, if you didn't, if we still lived in DC, we wouldn't have family around us. And we're like, what would we do? So I think that's a huge part of it, which, I know many people in the industry and outside who travel a lot. It's pretty similar. It's like you have to have either like a built-in nanny who can help support that if you're both working, or family who can. I don't see otherwise, how you can do it. So obviously thankful for that support system.
Definitely. One thing you touched on that I really liked, and I want to kind of dig into a little bit more. There's this concept, and people ask a lot about like work-life balance. And you
Yeah.
said like I don't really know if that's a thing, especially as a working parent. So how do you frame that in your life?
Yeah, I think of it more as um, it's not balanced so much, but rather like my energy is focused in certain places during certain times of the day. Meaning, I truly from the hours of call it 5 to 8 o'clock when my kids are in bed, that is kid time. Like if I'm responding to something on Slack or emailing or whatever, it's because my kids are doing something. They're playing, right? And so I don't want them to see me sitting there on a laptop all the time or my phone all the time. I want that time to be for them. Now, on the flip side, if it's the hours of like 10 to noon, that is like very focused work time. The kids are either with the nanny or at school, they're doing something. But days like today, I had to take my daughter to the pediatrician in the morning. And so that kind of flipped everything on its head. And so that means that now I'm going to have to work a little bit tonight. And it is what it is. You just have to find a way to kind of, I'm going to use the word balance, but you do have to find a way to balance it all. But for me, I don't know how I don't know how it would be so black and white, right? Like it's like you have to be able to ebb and flow and kind of go with it. And luckily, with what I do, it's possible. I work on a small team. We're very open and honest with each other about what we're doing. If things have to move, they have to move. And you have to be able to kind of shift as needed. But yeah, balance. If people who are working parents have found a way to balance it, I'd love to hear, because I don't see really how that's possible.
And I think that, like, sometimes when people say balance, it's almost like it's supposed to be 50-50. And I mean, that doesn't really make sense to me either. And then I think it's seasonal. I've said this before. Like, I think that there's different phases and seasons of life and seasons of the year.
Yes,
And, like, there's times in my business when it's super chaotic and I'm gone more. And, like,
exactly.
we just deal with that as a family, and like they kind of know what to expect. And then there's other times when my travel schedule might be lighter that I prioritize family stuff, and like we try to take family trips and stuff during that time.
Exactly.
And that wouldn't be 50-50 for work, but sometimes it's like it feels like it's 90-10 work over family.
Exactly.
So, but that, it doesn't mean that it's always like that. And I this idea that it has to be half the 50-50 all the time is just like this really bizarre concept to me. I don't know where it came from.
No, and it's like exactly how you described it. It's kind of like this. Like you're constantly like, okay, maybe work is heavy right now because it's a busy season. This would be like during ISC West, during TSC, like everyone, right, is like up here work-wise. And yeah, unfortunately that means that it's a little bit lower. I do not want to say a priority because our kids are always going to be the number one priority, but they're just not getting as much of our time. But then maybe in the summertime it flips a little bit. Things are a little bit slower for work. So I agree. I think it's completely the same in our family. And I'm okay with that because I like doing both. Like
Yes.
I love being a mom, but I also love working. And so I can't imagine really not working. So I like having that. Frankly, it makes me a better mom that I have time to like use a different part of my brain and, you know, be talking to people like you and doing things like this. It helps me be better for them and more present with them. And so having that like push and pull is actually a good thing, I think.
Yeah, I'm like dying because you're saying so many things that are just like hitting home with me so much. I always say that I'm a better mom when like things are really crazy and super busy at work. It's like I can focus my brain and get all my energy out of that, and then I can be
Yep.
super enthusiastic and energetic at home too. Like I
100%.
was so done when maternity leave was over. Like I was so ready to come. I felt like a better parent the week after I went back to work because felt more like myself.
100%. It's so easy for us not to get like too deep into this, but it's so easy for us to lose ourselves after we have kids. And I mean, from an emotional, physical, like every aspect of us has changed. But when we have like work as the constant, which I know for a lot of people stresses them out, and that's okay. I'm not saying that it shouldn't. I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense. It certainly does. But when you have that constant to come back to and you're like, oh, I'm like happy to be sitting at my desk working right now. It feels good. And I don't know if that sounds weird or bad or, you know, whatever. I guess it's not bad. Everyone's different. But it's like a comfort thing where you're like, okay, this is the place that I get to be this version of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go home and I'm the mom. I'm that version with my kids. And it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of nice to have both.
Yeah, I love that. All right, so I think that when I think about the security industry, you don't think about a whole lot of working moms because I would say that there's not as many females, and this is fairly common knowledge. Anyone can
Yeah.
walk the show floor and know that that's true. But I think that it's a growing group of women for sure that are, you know, establishing voices for themselves in the industry, building names for themselves, becoming leaders. And honestly, I would consider you one of those, even though a lot of times you operate more in the background. It's no secret. Everybody knows who you are and the driving force that you are. So as a female leader in the security industry, what has your experience been like in what's obviously a very male-dominated space?
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's probably a lot of, you know, similar situations that other women have been in. I mean, I've been in the industry. I was out of it for a little while, but I've been in it for 10, 12 years. I mean, no, it's probably, I don't know, regardless. I would say, you know, early on in my career, it was like the typical experiences that I think many women like my age, millennial ballpark, have faced in positions. And as I've gotten older and grown in my career, unfortunately, I still face them sometimes. I think because I am a woman, it's naturally assumed that I'm the one ordering lunch and I'm the one setting the meetings and taking the notes. And though that's frustrating because it is, I do see it shifting. It's slow and it's not everywhere, but it is shifting. And honestly, my the way that I've I guess, manage that in my brain is to just like let the work speak for itself. Like, that's fine if you think that, that's what I do, but I'm going to go put on an entire event, or I'm going to go do whatever it is. And then you can, say to me, can you go order my lunch? Like, yeah, I can. And I can do like 50 other things while I'm doing that. But, and I think honestly, my main thing is like that the next generation, that's not their default. Like, I think our default is to assume, or was to assume, that we were doing certain things. We weren't the decision makers. We didn't have the authority to make those decisions. And that still happens to me. Things will happen and they'll, people, I've literally heard, well, I'll just go ask Lee. I'm like, well, Lee's going to call me and we're going to talk about it together. So you can do that if you want, but
Yeah.
we're,
It'll just take longer.
yeah. I mean, or you can, we're a team, but it's the default, unfortunately. I'm seeing change, slow change, but I think the women that you reference, you being one of them, there's a lot in the industry that are helping to kind of shift that. And again, I just hope that the next generation who's coming, after us into the workforce, they'll just have a different, they'll have a seat at the table earlier and be able to get past some of those biases that maybe we faced earlier on. I'm hopeful, and I do see it shifting in that way.
I feel the same way. I'm super optimistic about it. And I mean, I think we're doing a better job just by there being more and more females in the space.
Yes.
And I mean, just
Yep.
generationally, like you can look at the industry and it's shifting as people age out and retire, and you naturally see a transition in a younger workforce coming in. And that's true everywhere. That's not just the security industry.
Right.
But this one just happens to be a whole lot of, middle-aged dudes for the most part.
Yes.
As we all have joked about, lovingly, of course. But yes, I agree. I think it's been fun, and I'm excited. And I think some of it's like just having good conversations with other females, like you and I are doing, and I'm happy to do with any female in the industry, and help them feel welcome and like they belong here. So I love that.
Yeah, and like actually supportive, and they're not alone. This isn't, yes, if you just walk the show floor or if you join a call with a big team, you might be like, ooh, am I the only woman here? But you're not. I know it feels that way, but you're not actually. There are more of us, and we all sit in different seats. And I think like the more, I like that you said that, because I think the more we make them feel welcome and supported, the better it is for, frankly, everyone, the entire industry. So yeah, I'm hopeful too that the shift is happening, and we'll be part of it, and so will the next group.
I love that. So industry in general, what excites you most about kind of the security industry and the direction you feel like it's headed over the next few years?
It's definitely that it is going mainstream, and I think that's exciting for many reasons. And from my perspective, I kind of sit in operations and marketing because of the nature of my role in our small company, but that excites me because it means that from a marketing perspective, things are going to get a lot more exciting. I think we'll actually get more data, more insights, which will then help us shape those stories that I don't traditionally think our industry has been great at shaping. I think it's going to enable marketing to, frankly, be better at our jobs, because we're being pushed into the mainstream spotlight. It's like we went from the back of the room to the front of the room, and I think that's going to bring exciting things for people in roles like mine.
That's cool. I like the way you phrased that. Like we went from the back of the room to the front of the room. I haven't heard someone say that. Yeah. And I think that that's cool. And kind of a unique way to think about it.
Yeah, because if you think about, like, in the past, we're not really thought of, access control is not thought of as, like, it's thought of as, like, typically hardware, right? And you don't really think of it as enabling things. That's not how I think the traditional, average person thinks of access control. But now we're enabling all these experiences. We're creating, or people are actually seeing it too with mobile credentials and whatever it may be. They're interacting with it a lot more, which is giving us a front seat versus, being in the back end. So I think it will, and I think it's happening fast. And so I think that will enable a lot of cool things to come from our industry.
I love that. So you might have already touched on this. I'm not sure actually how you're going to answer this question, but you did kind of allude to this. So if you were thinking about the access control industry and there was one thing that you felt like we still don't get right, what would that thing be?
Yeah, I did allude to it. We don't get the storytelling right. We don't get, like, And I don't really want to broaden it as big as to say marketing in general, because that I'm not saying the entire industry doesn't know how to market. That's not what I'm saying. It's there's certainly companies who are very, very good at it, but it's specifically that storytelling aspect, like being able to explain to the end user or whomever the audience is what the actual benefit is that our products offer, that our industry in general offers to the end user. We don't do that. And if you look at other industries, that's what they do. They're speaking to the emotion of what the products do. We are talking about products. We're talking about, as Lee always says, like the blue and red blinky lights. We're not talking about the fact that our products are what allow our kids to safely go in and out of school. They're what allow us to shop in a store and, to have a safe experience. They're what allow us to go to a concert and use our mobile credentials to get in. All these things. There's stories that should be told, and I just don't think many of the companies in our industry are doing that well. Again, not all, some are doing it, but it's just like taking some time to get there. But I think that mainstream
Will
movement is going to
help
help
move
us
it
get there.
faster.
Yeah,
No, I agree.
yeah,
And I think you can see it and especially because what I think is interesting is there's a lot of companies coming into the space that didn't like grow up in security, right? There's newcomers. There's
exactly.
really fast growing companies. There's a lot more startups, and that's because we're obviously more software than hardware. It used to be just hardware, so it felt like
Yep.
it took a long time. So just like that, you got to change the guard, new blood, fresh people in the industry, people who didn't come from here, and
Yep.
then moving to the front of the room, like you said, becoming more mainstream. You've got to change the story in order to keep up. So I think that people will tell better
And
stories.
I actually think I I completely agree, and that's interesting too because I had a short stint outside of the industry, worked in the Salesforce ecosystem, and saw what those marketing teams, they have massive budgets, they do the coolest stuff. And what was cool about that was to then come back into our industry and be like, ooh, what are ways that we can implement that? So I actually think like that bringing in, like new fresh blood that has these new ideas, comes from an industry that isn't like ours at all, is could be really great for us so that we can come up with, new ideas, be creative, and get like those emotional stories out there that are actually going to drive change.
I love that. Well, I could talk about this with you all day because it would be so fun. And now I really can't wait for the next time that we bump into each other at an event because I feel like I want to sit down, have coffee, or drink with you and chat about some of this stuff.
Right.
But
I think it'll be ramp, yeah, because you're coming.
I'll be there. I'm not
Right.
going to miss that
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah.
You know I love an Access Control Collective event. I was just telling
Best.
Hilary before we started recording this morning that we just launched an integration with a partner that we actually met at one of y'all's events. So
So awesome.
it's all about connection, right?
Yeah. That's the community effect. Like
Yep.
that is that's such a great success story. It's awesome.
I know, I love it. So I love what you guys are doing, and I love chatting with you. It's so fun. But before we wrap today, we have to do Badge Blitz, which is my favorite segment. So I'm going to hit you with some rapid fire questions that I have not prepared you for. I did not send you these in
Okay.
advance. And just go with your gut, like first thing that pops in your head. These are not challenging.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and I will set a timer for 1 minute, as many as you can answer. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Best mom hack for surviving a work trip.
Best mom what?
Hack for surviving a work trip.
Hack. Oh, having good care for your kids at home.
What is a weird or surprising talent that you have?
I used to be a cheerleader. I don't think that's a talent, but I feel like it's weird. I feel like you would not guess that I was that.
No, I wouldn't actually.
Yeah.
What's your go-to hype song when you need to get in the zone?
Um, oh my God, right now it's Wicked because my girls are obsessed with it and I'm going to see it in New York this week. So like
Oh,
basically any Wicked song.
that's gonna be amazing.
I
I'm
know.
so jealous.
Yeah.
Favorite way to unwind after a crazy day?
A glass of wine. I mean, I just like literally just have a glass of wine. And if it's nice outside, I'll sit outside and that usually helps.
I like that. Oh man! All right, last question. We're gonna count it anyway. If you could swap jobs with
Okay.
anyone for 1 day, who would it be?
Oh gosh. Taylor Swift.
That would be pretty wild.
I feel like
to
I
be
would
her
want
birthday.
to, right? Like, I just want to see what her life is like. I mean, I would never want to actually live it every day, but just to see what it's like to be her for a day would be kind of cool.
Also, I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but I am fascinated by her
I'm not
from
really
a
either.
marketing perspective, like in a business perspective.
Totally
Unbelievable.
agree. The app, I'm also not a, which is so weird that I said her because I'm also not a big Taylor Swift fan, but because of what she's able to pull off, that's why I would want like the eggs that she's planted about her new album. I don't even know what everyone's talking about, but I think it's cool, and so I feel like it'd be cool to see
Well,
what
now
it
it's all
would
talking
actually
about
be
it.
like
Like,
to
here
be
we
her.
are. Two non-Taylor Swift fans
Exactly,
talking
it
about it.
worked.
I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. It's so
Exactly.
powerful, the brand that she's built. Like, I'm impressed too. So I'm
It's
with you on that.
crazy.
Oh, Hillary, well, this
Good.
has been
Okay.
super fun. I really, really appreciate you joining me and chatting with us for a little bit.
Of
You have
course.
awesome insight into the industry and so much to share. And if anyone wants to connect with you, I assume that they can.
Of course. Yeah, LinkedIn, just you can find me on LinkedIn. And even if you connect through it'll make its way to me. So no worries there.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing a little bit of your insights. To everybody else, we hope that you'll join us next time as we take you beyond the badge.